With countless film appearances, Dracula is one of the most portrayed fictional characters in cinema history. Hollywood has given us endless versions of the Lord of Darkness, from terrifying and tragic to romantic, and even flat-out silly. We've seen him as a suave aristocrat, a feral beast, and a lonely romantic. But with so many actors donning the cape and fangs, one question has to be asked. Who actually nailed it? Plenty have tried, but only a handful delivered a performance that truly stands the test of time. A portrayal so definitive, it becomes the benchmark for all others. These are the actors who didn't just play Dracula. They became him, sinking their teeth into our collective nightmares and defining the vampire for generations. Today, we're cutting through the noise to rank the 5 definitive Dracula performances that all others are judged against. Number 5. Max Schreck in Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, 1922. Kicking off our list at number 5 is the one who created the blueprint for pure cinematic horror, Max Schreck. While the very first film adaptation of Dracula was a now-lost Hungarian film from 1921, it was Schreck's turn as Count Orlok in this unauthorized German version that first terrified the world. Though technically not Dracula for legal reasons, his performance is arguably the single most creepy portrayal of a vampire ever put to film. Forget the handsome, charming nobleman from the novel. This was a plague rat in human form. Schreck's interpretation was all about horror, creating a creature that was both repulsive and mesmerizing. His bald head, rat-like fangs, and long, spindly fingers created an iconic image of the undead that was a world away from the aristocrat we'd later come to know. His movement is a work of grotesque genius. He shuffles with a stiff, unnatural gait, as if his body is just an ill-fitting suit for the ancient evil inside. The film's backstory is almost as legendary as the movie itself. It was an unsanctioned adaptation, and Bram Stoker's estate successfully sued the filmmakers, ordering all copies to be destroyed. It's a miracle any prints survived, preserving one of cinema's most effective horror moments. The shadow of Orlok climbing the staircase, a sequence that still unnerves viewers over a century later. Schreck didn't just create a character, he created a nightmare that would inspire countless future monsters. Number 4. Klaus Kinski in Nosferatu the Vampire, 1979. Our number 4 pick took the monstrous foundation laid by Max Schreck and injected it with a deep and terrifying sadness. In Werner Herzog's 1979 masterpiece, Nosferatu the Vampire, Klaus Kinski gives a performance that's tragic, haunting, and genuinely unsettling. This wasn't just a remake, it was a powerful reimagining that delivered straight-up horror with zero camp. Working with the famously intense director Werner Herzog, Kinski brought a psychological depth to the character that felt brand new. This isn't a Dracula who delights in his immortality. He's crushed by it. He's a lonely, pathetic creature, cursed to an eternity of solitude. But don't let that fool you. This tragedy makes him even more terrifying. Kinski's Dracula is feral and unpredictable, with an unsettling aura that sticks with you long after the movie ends. Unlike the suave charmers, Kinski's Count is awkward and carries the crushing weight of loneliness, which makes his predatory nature feel even more perverse and desperate. Kinski had a unique perspective on the role, having previously played the servant Renfield opposite Christopher Lee in 1970's Count Dracula. His performance is a symphony of contradictions. He is both pathetic and predatory, tragic and monstrous. It's a genuinely disturbing take that proves the most terrifying monsters are often the most human. Number 3. Gary Oldman in Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992. At number 3, We have the actor who redefined Dracula for the 90s, blending romance and horror into one unforgettable performance, Gary Oldman. In Francis Ford Coppola's lavish 1992 film, Oldman gave us a version of the character that was a world away from the monsters and aristocrats that came before. This was a Dracula of many faces, and Oldman inhabited every single one with terrifying skill. The genius of this performance is just how many Draculas Oldman gave us in one movie. We saw the ancient, decaying creature in his castle, the dashing, younger Vlad, the impaler in his warrior prime, and even a monstrous, wolf-like beast. The film showed us a Dracula who could literally turn back the clock, allowing audiences to see him as both an ancient monster and a seductive, tragic hero. Oldman masterfully humanized the Count, grounding the performance in a lost love that spanned centuries, while never letting us forget the monster lurking just beneath the surface. This romantic angle added a layer of emotional complexity that was new for a mainstream Dracula film. Oldman's Count was driven by a sorrow as deep as the ocean of time he crossed to find his lost love. But this love was possessive, dangerous, and ultimately destructive. For many, Oldman's complex and visually stunning portrayal became their favorite, proving the character could be both a fearsome predator and a figure of deep, sympathetic pain. Number 2. Bela Lugosi in Dracula, 1931. There are great performances, and then there are performances that become cultural bedrock. Our number 2 is exactly that. Bela Lugosi, in the 1931 Universal classic, Dracula. For millions of people, one man simply is Dracula. His performance is the quintessential portrayal, the template that nearly all others have either copied or deliberately defied. Lugosi brought a sinister, old-world magnetism to the role that was completely captivating. His natural Hungarian accent, which he used with hypnotic skill, and his intense, penetrating gaze created an unnerving presence. It's a fascinating bit of film history that Lugosi wasn't yet fluent in English and often learned his lines phonetically, which may have contributed to his deliberate, otherworldly delivery. He established the iconic look, the slicked-back hair, the tuxedo, and, of course, the elegant cape that became synonymous with vampires for decades. The story behind his casting is a legend in itself. After playing the role to massive acclaim on Broadway, Lugosi had to lobby hard for the film part, eventually accepting a tiny salary just to secure the role that would define his life. Though he was forever typecast, his impact is undeniable. From Sesame Street's The Count to countless parodies, Lugosi's DNA is in almost every vampire that followed. He was the first to show that the monster could be both frightening and alluring, and in doing so, he became a true horror icon. Honorable mentions. Before we unveil our number 1, we have to give a shout-out to a few other incredible actors who have left their mark. Frank Langella, in the 1979 version of Dracula, gave us the matinee idol vampire, a brooding, romantic figure who was all sophisticated charm and seductive danger. More recently, Nicolas Cage's turn in 2023's Renfield was a masterclass in campy, expressionistic rage, consciously creating a Dracula who was part silent-era monster, part toxic, gaslighting boss. These performances show just how versatile and timeless the character is. Number 1. Christopher Lee in Hammer Films, 1958 to 1976. And now, for the number 1 definitive Dracula. While Lugosi created the icon, one man perfected the monster. For sheer menace, intimidating presence, and enduring legacy, our top spot has to go to the legendary Sir Christopher Lee. When Christopher Lee first stormed onto the screen in Hammer's horror of Dracula In 1958, it was a full-blown revolution. Gone was the polite, theatrical vampire of the 30s. In his place stood a tall, imposing figure of raw, animalistic fury and cold, aristocratic cruelty. Lee's Dracula was different. He barely spoke, conveying pure danger through his piercing stare and commanding physicality. In fact, in some of his films as Dracula for Hammer, he had little to no dialogue at all. This was a Dracula of action and violence. When he attacked, it wasn't a hypnotic seduction, it was a physical assault. Thanks to Hammer's use of vivid color, audiences saw the blood for the first time. The fangs were sharp, the eyes were red, and the threat felt real. Lee's portrayal peaked with 1966's Dracula, Prince of Darkness, a film where he is resurrected and dominates the screen without uttering a single word. Across a career where he played the character around 10 times in Hammer and other productions, Lee brought a unique combination of regal power and savage brutality to the role. He was magnetic, terrifying, and the perfect embodiment of the clash between fear and desire, making him the definitive Hammer vampire, and, for us, the greatest Dracula of all time. And that's our list. From Max Schreck's monstrous shadow to Christopher Lee's dominant menace, each of these 5 actors brought something unforgettable to the role. They proved that Bram Stoker's creation is truly immortal, ready to be reinvented for each new generation. But hey, that's just our take. The debate over the best Dracula is as eternal as the Count himself. Who is your favorite? Did we criminally overlook someone who belongs in the top 5? Let us know your rankings in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into horror history, don't forget to like and subscribe for more celebrity content. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for our next video.